rev up your engines. Today I'm going to explain why cars get worse gas mileage as they age and what you can do to minimize that gas mileage loss as your car ages. As an example, here's my 25-year-old Toyota Celica. It was originally rated at 29 miles per gallon highway, and now it still gets 28 miles a gallon, which isn't bad considering that it's got 239,000 miles on it. Now, I can't directly tell you the efficiency of this car because it's so old, it's OBD1. It doesn't have all the fancy new data I can get on later model cars, so I'll show you a couple other cars where you can actually see how efficient the car is as it's aging. Take this 2004 Honda Civic. It's 10 years newer, so I can use this to get some serious data. And I'm using this new tool that I got. It's a Launch X431 Pro Mini. It's hooked up wireless to the OBD connector, and we're going to see how efficient this engine is running. All cars are different. This does them all, and as you can see down here, the AF Lambda, which is air-fuel ratio, is going between a perfect 1.00 and 0.99. That means that this Honda is almost running perfectly. 1.00 is perfect, and 0.99 is really close. So even though this car is 12 years old, it's still running almost perfectly. Now, that's a new customer's car that I never worked on before, so I don't know the gas mileage, but on my wife's old 07 Matrix here that's 12 years old, I know what the gas mileage is. It was originally rated at 36 miles per gallon on a highway, and guess what? It still gets 36 miles a gallon on a highway. So if you got a vehicle that's running at 99 to 100% efficiency, hey, it's going to get pretty much the same gas mileage. And here the key to getting good gas mileage is twofold. One, you want to buy a well-made car. Hey, this thing with 239,000 miles still gets 28 miles a gallon instead of the original 29. So number one, you got to buy a well-made car. But then, of course, you have to maintain the car so that the gas mileage doesn't drop dramatically as the car ages. Now, the reason cars get worse gas mileage as they age is basically wear and tear. As you're driving the engine, the piston rings have to seal the pistons. But if you don't change the oil enough, gets too much dirt, it wears the piston rings, they don't seal right, and voila, there goes your efficient engine. And let's say you never change your fuel filter. If it gets clogged up, the fuel pressure is going to go down, it's going to run poorly because the computer will keep trying to compensate for it, and it'll get worse gas mileage. And realize that these filters aren't 100% efficient. Things can get by them, and if they do get by them, they can damage your fuel injectors. They can clog them up, yes, but if you get little pieces, they can actually wear them out like sandpaper, then they spray wrong. Look at all these tiny little holes. That's the spraying end of the injector. If they get clogged or if they get damaged, then it sprays like a bad shower head all over the place, and your gas mileage will go right down the toilet. Now, in the olden days when cars had carburetors like this big 4-barrel carburetor, these are mechanical. They just flat wear out, and when they wear out, you get really bad gas mileage, and then you either rebuild or you throw away and put in a brand new carburetor. But these fuel injectors are much more efficient, and if well made, can last a really long time. That Celica of mine still has the original fuel injectors on it. 240,000 miles, and they're still spraying strong. So as long as you keep them clean, use good fuel, keep your fuel filter clean, they can keep you getting good gas mileage for a long time. Now, of course, you want to keep your air filter clean, because if your air filter's dirty, you're not going to be able to suck enough air in, and the car's going to get worse gas mileage. And in many modern cars, they use what are called MAF sensors, mass airflow sensors. If these get dirty, and all of a sudden you get bad gas mileage, sometimes it's as simple as just cleaning these things. See these tiny little wires with resistors on them? If you clean them with some mass airflow sensor, a lot of times the car will go back to getting good gas mileage. Just make sure you use mass airflow sensor cleaner. It's very particular. I've got a whole video on that called Make Your Car Run Better with a Little Spray Cleaner. You can watch that. It shows how you can clean it yourself. And if push comes to shove, you can always buy a new MAF sensor. You get one of these scan tools, hook it up, you can look at the data, and if it's really bad, it'll trip a code for a bad mass airflow sensor. They just bolt on and off. They're very easy to change. Now, another reason as the car ages it can get worse gas mileage is the brakes. You want to check them every once in a while to make sure they're not dragging. Because if the brakes are dragging, well, you're driving down the road, the brakes are going to hold the car back and you're going to get worse gas mileage. I even had one customer years ago with a BMW complain he was getting horrible gas mileage. So I said, let's go for a ride. And we went for a ride, and it turned out that he drove with 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot touching the brake. Because he said, oh, they taught him him how to drive that way in driving instruction school. I got out of the car later, I watched him drive down the road, and sure enough, he's driving down the road and his brake light's on the whole time. You know, whether you're stepping on it yourself or they're dragging, you're going to get bad gas mileage if your brakes are dragging. And the last thing I'll talk about in aging and bad gas mileage is your automatic transmission. If your automatic transmission isn't shifting right, hey, you're going to get worse gas mileage. If it stays in the lower gears longer or maybe doesn't even shift into overdrive, there goes your gas mileage. And the same goes for dirty transmission fluid. Automatic transmissions drive through the fluid dynamics. And if you got old, dirty fluid with a lot of friction in it, guess what? You're going to get worse gas mileage because it has more friction in the engine, and friction takes energy up. But as I said, if you maintain your car correctly, you might get one that's got 240,000 miles on it, and it's still getting almost the same gas mileage it did when it was new. And as I said, the main ways to achieve that is to, one, buy the correct car, and two, maintain it so it doesn't wear out unnecessarily. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.